welcome to the end of day 2. How the hell did that happen?
I haven't-
Literally seems like 5 minutes since we were here yesterday.
It feels like 5 minutes to you. It feels like 5 days to me. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I was actually going to say that is, to a certain extent, I feel like I've fallen into some bizarre kind of time portal because while it feels like about 10 minutes since I got here on Sunday, we've packed in the most inordinate amount of stuff. Even on both sides, partners and Enablites have all. It just seems to be there's been a huge amount going on over the last 3 days.
No, there hasn't. It has actually gone very fast, and it's been, really when you think about it, we've been here for 3 days, really until because of the pre-day.
Yeah.
But wow, what a lot of fun this was, and what a lot of great insight and a lot of great discussions, and just the content and the speakers and the. I actually haven't had. I was sitting with a partner earlier, and we said, what's been great, and I just said it on stage. I've never been here, and he said, I can't believe how much your community shares. But one of the things we said at the table, we said, well, what's bad? Because there's always a bad, right?
Yeah.
And he said, I actually can't think of one. And he said, maybe the queue at the bar was too big. Which is, all right, I'll take that.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's damned with faint praise in a way. Is like that's kind of. If the worst you can point at is the fact that the queue to the bar was too long.
Yeah, exactly.
It has been a whirlwind of 3 days. And it's just been nonstop. I was talking to a partner just before we came in there, and he commented to me, he said, I can't believe how hard all the enabled staff work. He said, I've never seen a person sit down, relaxing, taking it easy. Everyone is going all the time. Everyone has a job. And I suppose when you have that going on, the day flies, it's just, it's just over before you know it. And I suppose before we came, at home, the start of the year, everything's been focused towards this week. Everything I've done work, it's been, okay, we need to build content. We need to build courses. We need to recruit partners. We have to do loads of things in order to, make this event successful. The fact that it's here, it's done, it's in the books, it's great. But I'd say, David, and you agree with me, it's not over. The event is over, but it's just, Empower will last on.
That was one thing I was going to come to. I was going to address that at the end, actually, to kind of wrap up. But I think you've raised it now.
Sorry for ruining your talk track.
It killed me off again.
I really
should tell you what I'm going to ask you before you do it.
Well, I asked, and you did say, I'll be grand.
But that's why, because, and I know, you guys probably don't remember. I remember we said the similar at the end of Prague. It's like I always get when I come to the end of these events, I'm a bit like, oh, I've got to go now. You're in that energy for 3 days, and it's amazing. But I remember you saying, Weeks, that it's like this is where the work starts. This is where it starts, really. Certainly for the partners when they're going away from it.
Yeah, it does. Look you come to an event like this and you get really excited, right? And you get new ideas. And the problem is when you get back, you can't get complacent. Right, you actually have to put them into action. You have to put them into action very quickly because they're fresh in your mind. And it was funny, I was talking to a few partners earlier. They've actually already emailed back and set up stuff with their teams to say these are new things that we're going to try and we're going to do. So they're already pushing that envelope to get to where they want to be. And I love seeing that because you know what, it is. We all walk away. I mean, I came out with so many new ideas and insights from different partners this week that I can barely even keep all of them straight in my head. And I've got a bunch of notes, and my whole plan is first thing tomorrow is start getting on top of those, right? Because if we can be a better partner, then they win, and that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, I'd say, Paul, you as the nerds, obviously you're probably more directly in contact with a lot of partners than a lot of the company, even the PSMs to a certain extent. What's your advice really to these guys?
Well, I think Frank summed it up perfectly in his presentation. There's so many resources available to our partners. The conversation doesn't stop here. We have road shows, we have the business transformation events, we have the in-region events coming up over the year as well. I would encourage everyone to continue to engage with us at our events. Don't be put off by saying, oh, there's a road show in my locality in the coming months. I've been to Empower. I don't need to go. We're constantly evolving. We're constantly releasing new things. We've constantly new messages, new information to share with our partners. So I would always advise partners to continue to engage with us. There's nothing better than standing face to face, talking directly to people. But also, Frank also highlighted, the head nerds, the solutions engineers, the success managers. The amount of time I get an email and my reply is, who's your partner success manager? Now I could look it up, but I'm lazy. But I asked the question because I want to know, do they know? You know, and you know, just engage with us. We're here to help. We're here to personally on the head nerd side of things. You know, I look at myself as an advocate for them within our organization. So myself and the rest of the head nerds are always here to help out. So if it's something you haven't done in the past, you know us now, you've met us, you've been here, come and engage. But also, if you weren't here today and you're watching this back, whatever it may be, you know, engage with us. You know, that you'll get more from Enable if you engage with Enable.
So you mentioned Frank there. So this is a good opportunity for me to now backtrack because you completely ruined my talk track.
Well, I said I'd give you a try.
And we'll backtrack. And you mentioned Frank, so we'll go back over today's stuff because there's been some amazing stuff today. And I know I'm a member of the company, but actually, genuinely, there has been some amazing stuff. So first, there was Terence. I mean, so I saw you manically scribbling notes in the background. What were your takeaways from the first
Well, I
session?
said it yesterday. You know, I always enjoy listening to our keynotes that we have because, as you know, they're coming in. They're thought leadership. They're invoking kind of, you know, conversations in your mind that you might never have thought about before as such. So I thought it was really interesting to kind of, I mean, we're going to get woolly mammoths and dodos back. Who knows? Turkeys could be dead for dinner for Christmas and Thanksgiving. I don't know what a dodo tastes like, you know, but no, he's really,
I would assume good.
yeah, I mean, if that's the new thing, like we brought back dodos to eat them at Christmas dinner. Like. But what I would say is, you know, it's just like Terence, one of the statistics Terence had is that, you know, if cybercrime was a nation, it'd be the third richest nation in the world. I mean, like, that is what you're up against. You know, it's that type of, you know, reality check that some partners need to understand that, you know, good enough is not good enough anymore, you know? So very insightful, really interesting.
Weeks, anything to add to that?
You know what? Yeah, I think he, you know, when he talks about being a disruptor, and it played well into what John did right on day one as well too. But he's right, and I think the biggest thing I took away from him was not taking a risk as a risk, right? And I even posted that today on LinkedIn, and it's true. Like if you're not willing to take that risk, then you're idle, right? And you're idle, and you know, he talked about elevation and all those different areas, and I think that's the way we all have to think today, right? The market's ripe, the market's out there, it's growing, it's actually getting bigger, and we just need to go harness it.
I also liked his chief child technology officer gag, CTO.
Yeah, you should have had to be. You had to be there for that one, I think. Then we move on to Jeff Nelson, our CMO, coming out and talking about the Horizons report. Obviously, very dear to my heart. What did you get? What did you take away from that? Because I mean, we got three partners up there. Well, we got Robin Odie from Canalys, we got Martin from Synaxon, and Isaac from Xero. Cybersecurity's over here. So, what did you take away from that section of the? Because it seemed like a really good discussion to me.
Yeah, it was. And you know what it is? There's fast growth areas of the market that you need to go capitalize on. And that's what it is. And we had people sitting on that panel talking about how you do it, right? Or they're doing it. And yeah, there is a lot of opportunity. Look at, I mean, if you look at the average CAGR of the market in general is 12%, which isn't bad when it's over 300 billion. You know, I know 5 years ago, people say we were at 18, but it wasn't worth 300 billion, right? Plus, so it is much different. But now when you look at it, and you can look at some of these areas of very niche targeted services, and they're growing at 40, 50, 60, 70%, right? It's again, it's the way we position ourselves. It's what we do. It's changing that narrative, like I said yesterday. And I thought that really came out well on the panel. And a good discussion around, you know, it may not be a fit for everybody, but it doesn't mean that you can't still provide. You just got to do it through the right people.
Yeah. Paul, what were your, did you have anything, key takeaways that kind of came from that?
I mean, I think the whole mergers and acquisitions conversation is very interesting because, you know, in the survey, 90% plus, I think, are interested in M&A. But I think the problem is that, you know, businesses aren't willing to sell, you know, and that would indicate that, you know, the market, the industry is in a very healthy state. Because why am I looking to sell now? Because I can sell in 2-3 years' time and get, you know, 5x, 10x what I might get if I sold it today as well. So it does seem like the industry hungry, it's willing to grow. And I thought that's interesting as well, because that was a significant jump, I think, on previous years as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think Isaac, I think it was, made the point that it was, as you say, it's kind of like he wanted to do M&A, but finding company, he had to hire somebody to go out and look for companies to buy that. And I know we've talked about, and we've been in a position where we can always introduce clients or partners if they're looking to buy, because obviously, or people looking to sell with people looking to buy, make those kind of partnerships. So yeah, it's something that I think vendors like us, come to your vendor as well, because they're often well placed to know those things.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and listen, our partners tell us that, you know what, I think I'm ready to get out. I've built this business, I'm where I am, and then there's others who are looking to build it to eventually exit, right? And so, yeah, we do have target lists, right? And we know those who are, kind of at that point in the market, and those who are looking to buy. So, listen, we're okay to matchmake, right? If you keep it in the family, it's good. Look, at M&A is offensive and defensive, right? When it happens in the marketplace for all of us as vendors, and so the more that we're involved and we can support, the more that we have a little bit of control, but and maybe a little bit of influence, but it gives us the ability to at least be a part of it, and you know what? It's a real thing. It's a real thing. And there's a lot of money in this market now, a lot of money in this market for acquisition. And MSPs today are just trying to make the decision of where they really fit. Do they want to continue to grow and try and get to another level, or is it, I'm ready to exit today and just move on?
And that kind of ties in quite nicely, I suppose, if you look at the transition through to Frank coming on stage. And Frank's very much talking about the health of your business. He's talking about having routines, and about how Enable can help you to get your business into a healthy position, which is obviously key to if you want to sell, if you want to buy.
I thought what was interesting about Frank's presentation also is that we have an approach here where we have our new business, but we also have our partner success team, and that our partners are now implementing that with their own accounts as well. They have their teams that go out and win new business for the MSP, but they're also bringing in their partner care teams to actually nurture that relationship with their end customers as well. So, it's a compliment. Imitation is a compliment. So the fact that our partners mirror what we do with our base is, I think, is a testament to we're going the right direction.
Well, it is. And look, we sign a lot of new customers a month, right? And we've been doing this now for over 25 years. We've seen the obstacles, we've seen the struggles, we've seen the wins, right? And we know the champions. And so there is a lot that we can provide as an organization to say, look, these are the typical areas that you have to think about as you're, starting your organization as a service provider, as you're continuing to grow. And look, getting to $1 million is tough. $1 million to $3 million is tough. 3 to 5 is tough, right? 5 to 8 is tough, and you continue on, right? And I said it the other day. If you're a 2-person service provider and you're another 2-person service provider, you have the same challenges. If you're a 500-person service provider and a 500-person service provider, you have the same challenges, right? It never changes as the market moves forward. And so, for us, it's about the matchmaking, but also understanding what they need and us providing those proper resources that you said to be able to help them kind of overcome those and expedite that growth.
Yeah. And then we kind of move on to, which again links quite nicely into Robert Wilburn's presentation around his kind of benchmarking, what they've been doing in business transformation, how they're kind of seeing the difference really in terms of how successful MSPs are growing and what they're doing, and then what the smaller MSPs can learn from them, and particularly around that concept of the fact that we have to break some of the preconceptions that it's not all about sales, and sort of like actually really starting to think differently. Does that resonate for you in the market?
It does. I mean, look, the market evolves every single minute, right? And that's something I've said before. It's always evolving. They're very, very minute changes, but those minute changes add up to be something pretty big very quickly. And look, when you get something like a business transformation event and you're benchmarking yourself against the best in class out there in the world, it allows us to put people in a room to be able to say, how are you doing it and why are you doing it? Oh, I had that struggle. Oh, this is how we overcame it, right? And the problems aren't always identical, but they're there, right? And it goes back to the answers in the room. All we're doing is facilitating the discussion, right? And that's why we do it. And it, it's the same as I said yesterday, right? Healthy market, healthy vendor. And that to us is a critical component of what we do.
Paul, anything to add on that?
I suppose I'm going to hold my hands up here and say that's probably the area that
Don't worry, I got you, Paul.
Yeah, I'll leave that to David.
Sorry, I shouldn't have asked you that question. Really. Sorry, head nerd doesn't know about that kind of stuff. Just I'll
Stephanie
leave
would.
you
We need Stephanie in
course,
here. You know?
Yeah, no,
So,
absolutely. Steph is a gem, and if you want to know anything about growing your business and selling and marketing, Steph is your nerd.
yeah.
So yeah, that then brought us on, obviously, to the afternoon sessions where everything starts to get a bit more techy. I know, Paul, you hosted an AI session.
I asked the questions as opposed to answer them, like, you
And
know,
you
so,
used my
and I
clipboard.
used your clipboard, like, you know, thank you for the lend. But it was really interesting because, you know, we obviously have amazing solutions and we have labs and we use it, but we don't use these solutions in reality. So when we actually have partners, peers join us on stage and give us their first-hand experience, I think it's very empowering for those in the audience, because no one wants to stand up and say, I don't do this or I don't do that or I haven't thought about doing this way. But hopefully kind of hearing the journey that other people go on and how they approach it inspires them to actually say, you know what, maybe it's something that we should look at and we should do as well. My panel discussion today is very interesting because we're talking about AI. Everyone's talking about AI, but we're talking about AI and automation. And I do see, moving forward, how that's going to play a major role, particularly with the solutions we provide as well. I'd be very curious, if we come back in a year or two, and even if we got the same panel together, how their usage of AI and how their usage of AI with automation will have evolved. I think it's going to be interesting to track that over the next couple of years. It'll be a very interesting panel to see year on year how those discussions will change and how those answers will differ, from year to year as well.
So what do you think? What did you see as the most popular sessions this afternoon? The most popular tracks?
You know what? Actually, what I saw was an even distribution, which was amazing, because I think this year, like many other years, but I think a little bit more this year, people had multiple people from their organization because they see the value in Empower. I thought the M&A was really interesting. I thought having the different viewpoints of owners who, had just done an acquisition, had just sold and retired, and kind of what that life is like, and, kind of what's that end game and state, and, where do you even start? But I think, to me, I saw really good representation across them. I saw a lot across the roadmap side as well, too, because, again, we rely on our partners for our roadmap, right? So those always tend to be very engaging as well. But, I you know what? When you come in and there's breakouts on and there's virtually nobody in the lobby or the bar, that means that they're interested, right? And that's what I noticed was I didn't see a lot of people sitting outside those rooms.
The bar was very empty this afternoon.
It was.
It won't be tonight, but I know that's a different story.
Yeah.
But
you're itching to get there already.
Don't try and pretend you're not.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm wondering when we're wrapping
He's probably
this up.
been there. But I mean, we've always kind of encouraged partners to bring multiple people to these events because we do have breakout sessions and there's so much going on. And I mean, even myself, I was kind of going, when I was looking at the schedule, I was going, I wouldn't mind going to this. I was going, I'm presenting in a different thing, so I can't go to it. But I know you said on day one, David, if there's 2, 3, 4 of you from an organization, spread out, divide and conquer. And other years at Empower in the past, you would see kind of groups from organizations and they go around together. And by the end of day 2 or day 3 or whenever, you always see them in the same group. You don't see that. You see... I talked to the guys from Ice and Pages yesterday. I said, they all had been to different events that afternoon, which is great to see, because they take so much more back when they go back to the office then as well.
So listen, I know Weeks is desperate to get to the bar.
Okay, come on now. You can't put this all on me.
Of course I can.
I am.
Well, it's better. It's better than starting to make height jokes, which you've been making all day.
Yeah, and you know what? And they work. People keep laughing, so I'm going to keep making them. Well.
So listen. Fort Lauderdale next.
Yeah.
Big announcement. That's where we're going to be, mid-April next year. Closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts. One hell of an event. We have amazing partners, and I said it there at the closing, and I truly mean it. We have the best damn service providers in the world who are partners of ours, and they're out there, and you know what? They're kicking ass in the market, and I love it. And it's only going to get better going forward. And I appreciate everything they do for us. And an event like this, like I said, over 3 days, we learned so much as an organization, and I can't thank them enough for that.
Cool.
probably said this 2 years ago, but I don't think anyone's going to go back and fact check it. Like, but the work starts now. Like David, you mentioned earlier, you have a list of notes that you need to follow up. I have a list of people I need to follow up with. I'm sure everyone that's been at the event has been taking notes as they've gone through. Okay, we're going to have a great party tonight. We're going to enjoy ourselves, but we're all going to go back to the office, the home office, wherever we are. And then we got to, start implementing what we've learned over the last couple of days. So this is just the beginning, is what I would say. And by the time Fort Lauderdale rolls around, we should be in a better place. Everyone will have moved on, and we're ready to go again. So it's exciting. Hopefully, a good year ahead.
My closing thought would be, if you've been listening to this and you've been thinking, wow, that sounds like there's a lot of stuff going on. This is next year, 3 days that will undoubtedly transform your business. Undoubtedly transform your business, even, is what I was trying to say. Mm-hmm. But clearly the desire to get to the bar was making me trip over my tongue.
You know what? But you said it right, Pete. And I said it yesterday. You can't look at this event as a cost to attend.
Yeah.
It's an investment in training. And look at who's better to learn from than those who have already made it, right? And so, listen, if you are thinking about it, like you said, come to Fort Lauderdale. Don't worry about where you live. We're a global economy now. The MSP space is a global market. And come see what everybody else is doing. Join us. And not only will you have a lot of fun, I guarantee you're going to walk away with some great ideas and your business will grow.
Let's set our partners a challenge. We had 39 countries represented this year. Obviously, we're in the heart of Europe at the moment. Yeah. It's easy for some people to travel across borders. Over here, let's see, can we beat it next year? Let's go for 50 country representation.
Weeks randomly pick a country to be there.
Uruguay.
You had to watch yesterday's to get that one.
Yeah, you did. I can go Paraguay too if you want, but
excellent. Listen, I loved it. Great hanging out with you guys. Let's go drink some beer and have some fun and see you again next year.
I love it.
Cheers, Pete. Thanks.
Cheers.